Okay, let me see. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, okay, so as I remember, I gotta like to choose one of three topics. I don't remember the other two, but I remember I choose the Codex of Juan Diego, which is known as the Nican Mopofua, offers a valuable perspective on the impact of the Virgin de Guadalupe vision on the indigenous people of Mexico and provide insight into the complex relationship between indigenous population and the Spanish colonizers. It's important to recognize that the Codex is primarily religious account and may not provide a completely natural historical record. Well, and here I write some positive aspects of this codex, which is the religious conversions. One of the most notable positive outcomes of the vision was the rapid conversion of many indigenous people to Christianity. The Virgin of Guadalupe became a symbol of hope and faith, leading to the acceptance of Christianity by a significant portion of the indigenous population. Other positive aspect was the cultural syncretism. The vision facilitates the merging of indigenous and Catholic beliefs and practice results in cultural syncretisms. This allowed for the preservation of some indigenous traditions while incorporating elements of Christianity. The unity. The Codex portrays the Virgin of Guadalupe as a unifying figure for the diverse indigenous groups in Mexico. She was seen as a motherly protector, fostering a shared identity among the indigenous populations. And some negative aspects was the colonial control. While the vision led to religious conversation, it was also used by the Spanish colonizers as a means to exert control over the indigenous population. It helped it in consolidation the power of the Catholic Church and the Spanish crown in their religion. The loss of tradition and belief. Embracing Christianity often meant the abandonment of traditional indigenous belief and practices resulted in a loss of cultural diversity and heritage among some indigenous communities. Explore this practice. The codex may not explicitly detail this, but the broader historical context include instances of exploitations, forced labor, and the disruption of indigenous communities by the Spanish colonizers. The relations between indigenous people and Spanish colonizers. Here I put some aspect, which was the religion influence. The codex illustrates how the Spanish colonizers utilized the Catholic Church to control and advert the indigenous populations. The Virgin of Guadalupe's visions play a pivotal role in achieving religious conversions and establishing Catholicism's dominance in the region. The cultural adaptation, it demonstrates how the indigenous population adapted to the new religious and cultural norms introduced by the Spanish. These adaptations allow for a degree of cultural continuity while adopting Christianity. Resistance and agency, although the codex doesn't not explicit despite indigenous resistance, history records instances of indigenous people resisting Spanish colonization and cultural assimilations. Some individuals and groups had held onto their traditional belief and resisted religious conversions. In summary, the Codex of Juan Diego highlights the profound impact of the Virgin de Guadalupe visions on the indigenous people of Mexico, with both positive and negative consequences. It also portrays the intricate and evolving relationship between the indigenous people and the Spanish colonizers, marked by religious conversions, cultural criticism, exploitation, and occasional resistance. And then there were some questions that the teacher put, like what are some different ways the Virgin de Guadalupe vision has been interpreted and used through history, in religious miracles, cultural symbol, national icon, social and political symbol. How did the vision impact the lives of the indigenous people of Mexico, both in the short term and long term? Conversation to Christianity, that was on a short term, and in a long term was a cultural identity and syncretism. What are some of the lessons that we can learn from the Guadalupe vision in terms of intercultural relations, cultural exchange and adaptation, and respect for indigenous beliefs? What was the impact of the visions in terms of religion, culture, politics, and social life? In religion, central figure in Mexican Catholicism. In culture was deeply embedded in Mexican culture. Politics used in various political movements. Social lives, an essential part of a Mexican society, family, and community life. And this was like some apps that we could use for our project, and that's all.
Who wants to be next?
Me. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, how does the primary source portray the impact of the Virgen de Guadalupe vision on the indigenous people of Mexico? I put that the primary sources regarding the impact of the Virgen de Guadalupe vision on the indigenous people of Mexico, particularly the Nican Mopohua, provide a complex and multifaceted perspective. The second one, I put that a positive aspects could be cultural syncretisms and unity, cultural identify and pride. And for negative aspects, I put forced assimilation and cultural imperialism, loss of cultural authenticity. What does the primary source reveal about the relationship between the indigenous people and the Spanish colonizers? I put that primary sources such as historical documents, accounts, and narratives from the time of the Spanish colonization of Mexico reveal a multifaceted relationship between the indigenous people and the Spanish colonizers. The nature of this relationship was complex and involved over time. Okay, what are some different ways the Virgen de Guadalupe vision has been interpreted and used throughout history? I put Catholic devotion, Mexican national symbol, revolutionary symbol, and popular culture. How did the vision impact the lives of the indigenous people of Mexico, both in the short term and long term? In short term, I put religious transformation, social and cultural reconciliation, and empowerment and hope. And long term, I put cultural identity, continued religious influence. What are some of the lessons that we can learn from the Virgen de Guadalupe visions in terms of intercultural relations? I put that cultural understanding and respect, empathy and inclusivity, identity and unity, power dynamics, and empowerment. And what was the impact of the visions in terms of religion, culture, politics, and social life? I put the same. And yeah, that's it. Well, and apps that we can use from our final project.
Can I continue? Right. Well, first I put the answers of the first activity in a puzzle. In the first question, I answered that the primary source, the Nika Mopohua, suggests that the version of Guadalupe vision had a significant impact of the indigenous people of Mexico, leading to their conversion to Christianity and incorporating elements of their indigenous beliefs into the new faith. In the second question, I put the positive answers include religion, conversation, and cultural and Christian. In the third question, I put that the primary source indirectly reveals a power dynamic where Spanish colonizers held influence over the religious and cultural lives of the indigenous people, resulting in the cultural clash and acculturation. And the second activity was also questions. And the first question, that is that what are the some ways that the Virgin of the Guadalupe vision has been interpreted and used through the story? I answered that the Virgin the Guadalupe vision has been interpreted as a symbol of religion conversion and cultural syncretism. It also has been used as a tool for political and social integration, as well as the powerful representation of Mexican identity and national pride. And the second question say that how did the vision impact the lives of the indigenous people of Mexico, both in the short term and long term? I answer that in the short term, the vision led to the conversion of some indigenous people to the Christianity, but it also resulted in the suppression of indigenous beliefs and practices. In the long term, it contributed to the cultural and religious blend of the indigenous and Spanish elements, shaping the unique cultural identity of Mexico. And the third question say that what are some of the lessons that we can learn from the Virgin de Guadalupe vision in the terms of intercultural relations? I answered that the Virgin de Guadalupe vision teach us about the complexities of intercultural relations. It highlights the potential for both cooperation and conflict when the different cultures interact. It also showed that the syncretisms can be a way to bridge cultural gaps, but it also involves power imbalance and cultural assimilation. In the last question of this activity, I answered that the vision had a significant impact on religion by promoting Christianity among the indigenous population and fostering cultural and secrecy. In the apps that I suggest to make the great character image, I use Runway, DALL-E, Artblender, Runway, Miles Style Gun, and to develop the video, Lumify, Magistral, or Premiere Pro, and that's it. Thank you and sorry for my voice.
I'm gonna share my screen. Give me 1 second. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
Okay, so in the first question, I put that the primary sources of the portrait, the impact of the Virgin de Guadalupe vision as highly significant and transformative for the indigenous people of Mexico. It is often seen as a unifying and empowering symbol of the indigenous population. Many indigenous individuals embrace the image of the Virgin de Guadalupe, which was associated with both Christianity and indigenous beliefs. It offers a sense of identity, hope, and protection. In the second one, a positive aspect is that the vision of the Virgin of Guadalupe play a role in uniting different indigenous groups under a common religious and cultural symbol, promoting a form of syncretism where indigenous beliefs were blended with Christianity and became a powerful cultural and religious symbol for indigenous people, helping them preserve and symbol for indigenous people express their identity within the framework of Spanish colonial rule. In a negative aspect, the Virgin de Guadalupe vision was also utilized by Spanish colonizers as a means of control, reinforcing their authority over the indigenous population. This aspect could be seen as a negative in the context. In the third one, I put that some indigenous individuals and leaders collaborate with the Spanish colonizers, either willingly or due the coercion in embracing the Virgin de Guadalupe and supporting the Spanish colonial regime, and it might reveal how indigenous people adapt to the new religious and cultural influences, often incorporating elements of both indigenous and Spanish culture. Then I put as a symbol of unity and Christian blending indigenous and Christian beliefs, a source of inspiration and hope for the indigenous people, providing a sense of identity. Then I put in the short term, the vision provide indigenous people with a sense of empowerment. The Virgin de Guadalupe became deeply integrated into Mexican culture, serving as a symbol of Mexican identity. In the third one, I put that the Virgin de Guadalupe vision illustrates the potential for the syncretism and cultural blending in intercultural relations. In the fourth, I put that the Virgin de Guadalupe is a central figure in Mexican Catholicism, and her image is venerated by millions of people, and she represents a blend of indigenous and Christian spirituality. In the culture way, I put that the Virgin de Guadalupe is an enduring symbol of Mexican culture. In politics, I put that the Virgin has been used as a symbol in movements, including the Mexican War or independence. And in social life, I put that the image of the Virgin de Guadalupe is integrated into daily life, with people seeking her intersection for various aspects. And I put that we can use Wombo and a generator of art with IA to suggest apps, and Canva, PowerPoint, and iMovie. That's it.
Well, I think we can call it a day. Bye.
Bye. So wait, who is gonna upload the link?